we'll see this business activity monitoring component related to SOA that comes along with SOA. Now, first things first, when you install SOA, you will be given an option to also install BAM. If you remember, on the first day when we are creating a domain, we have selected business activity monitoring. So if you don't select it, you won't really have to install this BAM. So BAM is an additional component used especially for business related monitoring. We'll see what kind of business related monitoring it does. It's not technical monitoring, remember that one. BAM is not about technical monitoring. It's not for us, it's not for techies, it's for business. Let's see how BAM helps, or how to configure this, and what's the activity from an administrative perspective. Now this is why you use BAM. These are 2 or 3 points. I'll come back to these points, but before I come to these points, I'll show you a video. If you are the business owner and you want to monitor your business, alright, this is the kind of monitoring you would usually want. See this video here. It says Oracle Business Activity Monitoring. Oracle Business Activity Monitoring. BAM gives business executives, this is for business executives, the ability to monitor their business services and process in the enterprise. To correlate KPIs. KPI is a keyword here, especially for BAM. Key Performance Indicator. Means from a business perspective, there are certain performance indicators, especially the key ones. We want to monitor those key performance indicators. I'll show you what they are for this underlying graph or video that's going to happen. And why we use that? Most importantly, provide the ability to change the process quickly or take corrective action if the business means. If something goes wrong, a business owner wants to know it immediately. Let me go back to the video here. So the video is playing now. Just watch the video, don't think too much. I'll come back to the explanation in a couple of minutes. While I play this, you can also, if you cannot see it through you can directly watch it on your system. This is a YouTube video, I picked it up. It's a really nice one. Watch it directly on your system if this is not clear. So see, this is a dashboard for a business owner who runs, for example, a car rental business. Means you are the owner. You have lots of types of cars like BMW, you got Ford car, you got Toyotas, you got Mazdas. So you rent these cars, and how do people come down to you for taking a request? You have certain agents here on the left side. Agreements agreed by agents. If you see, Justin is one agent, G Cooper is one other agent, WebLogic is another agent, Areas agent 1, some another agent. Don't really worry about exact details of this app. Try to understand the generic purpose. So this pie chart here on the left side gives the owner who is registering, or which agent is registering how many orders. What the orders are. So a customer calls the agent, tells that I need so and so car. I need a BMW car, I need a Ford car, I need a Toyota, Mazda, kind of. Alright. Now here, instead of, I think it's like, rather than what we say, car rental, take it as car finance. This suits more car finance guy here. So how many agents are there in our world? So there Converge, there is a group for WebLogic, there is a group for Justin. Now, how many cars were taken? If you see this one, arrears account, position in progress, arrears position in progress. Now, if you see this one, first month payment cycle, these are what they have. Second month payment cycle, this is type. Third month payment cycle, this one. If I'm looking at this graph as a owner, so I will see every customer who happens and what is the status of their overall payment process. Now if I look at this graph or chart here, I'll say recently I sold it to some guys. They are on the first month. Out of them 4 were Mazda, 4 were Toyota, the rest of them are 0, 0. Means I sold 4 Mazda cars, 4 Toyota cars last month, and now these are the areas. It's not about selling. I think it's more about how many pendings are there. If you see this one, arrears account. The same way 4 in the second cycle, when somebody who bought a car 2 months before, the 4 are from BMW pending, 4 are from Mazda pending. And somebody who bought a 3 months before, then these are pending. Somebody who bought something on 4 months before, this is one pending. So these graphs kind of they change. Now if you see on this one here, this graph gives you a total idea of your business. It gives you how many were arranged, how many are in progress, means people are paying those things, how many kind of defaulters broken. Now when I look at this graph, I have a view, or I have a dynamic view of my business. So if you look at on the right side of this graph, for example, you see new arrangements today, 13 were newly arranged. Successful total are 9. Failures probably some. Then if you click on the graph, it will drill down to the actual entries. So what we are looking at is, from a business perspective, the owner will be able to know how many cars they financed, how many have paid, how many did not. Now the same graph, let's say we convert into a second example. Let's say you are a car realized. 4 or 5 types of cars, the ones that are designed here: BMW, Ford, Toyota, and you got 4 agencies who actually act like your front ends. So people come there, or people call them, they book the cab and they give the cab. This is the total arrangements. On a daily basis you are doing it. Let's say same graph. How many are not completed for whatever reason. Excuse me. So what this is happening at this point, and how this graph gets populated is through the instances. Let's say you have a website, and that's how people are accessing your infrastructure. So somebody comes there, a customer comes there, they book a cab, and the cab, the interface of website will call a web service. Once it calls a web service, is actually the one offered by our composite. The composite is called, an instance kicks in. Now when the instance kicks in, the instance is like the driver of the cab makes another entry saying, first thing, somebody is booking it. So the instance kicks in. So instance is running in your system till the point wherein it was, the cab was booked, the customer traveled, and the driver of the cab at the end of the travel has punched in an entry from your system that this is completed. Then the instance will finish. During this instance, while this is happening, at regular the instance can push the data into what is called a BAM server. Now if you see this one, so we will see how a BAM server looks like. I see this is actual diagram. This gives you a better idea. These are the instances that are related to our business. They are the business process. Let's say eBay, every purchase is an instance here. Now we want to see dynamically, you are, let's say, a sales owner, sales vice president you are, and on a Diwali day we want to see how my business is live. So on eBay on a Diwali day, you have superb discounts. Let's say they have announced 20%, 30% discounts. Now they've announced it. They want to see the impact of those discounts. Means, is the discount really working, or just now we just announced a discount, but people are not bothered about us. They are buying somewhere else. So they want to understand the actually the business strategy. Does it have any impact or not? For that, they want to monitor the sales. Now to do that one, they have to do it live on that day. So what they do is instances are happening as usual. Now what they have is a separate BAM server. You're looking at the right side. This is a BAM server. BAM server has internal component, how it generates a graph, how do you view the graph, how do we define the graphs, gets the data from the instances, all those things will. So here you have instances. The instances will send the data to the BAM server, and BAM server allows you to view the data. This is the architecture of BAM. The box in dark blue color is the internal components of the BAM server, and the instances contact the BAM server using an adapter, just like UMS. Instances send out notifications to the UMS server using UMS adapter. The same way instances send out notifications or data to the BAM server using BAM adapter. Now let's go back and see what kind of graphs usually business wants. This one. This is some graph credit checking. How many applications are in progress? How many new loan related applications? How many address verifications? How many duplicate stuff? How many credit checks were done? Certain things. Now out of all those things, how many are approved and accepted? 18. How many approved not accepted? 5. How many are rejected? Credit check exceptions means how many, let's say you have a service that is going up and down, so your credit checks exceptions will increase. If you're looking at a live graph and the exceptions are steadily increasing, you mean you have a problem in the system. Then you can take a decision immediately, see what's happening. Alright, the same way, this is another graph. This is a graph of stock portfolio. Means let's say you have a group of stocks with you. You want to dynamically monitor the stock's value live in the market. Now there are a lot of tools to do that. There are a lot of stock market based tools to do that. This is another way of putting it through BAM. Alright, then this is another thing like call center. Let's say you are a call center owner. There are about 50 guys sitting and taking the calls. Now we want to see the performance of those things live. So say this one. If we say arrival rates and capacity, how many are arriving? At 4 o'clock, these many are calls. 5 o'clock, these many are calls. 6 o'clock, this 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Like this. Each hour, how many are there? Last 8 hours. Now, cases and capacity by region. This keeps changing. From Canada, these many are cases, but the capacity is only 100, so you have excess capacity. Just by looking at the graph, the business owner will be able to know, okay, Canada is overloaded. Probably put a couple of guys onto Canada process. Now if you see this one, a United Kingdom, 75, but only we are getting 617. So take out a couple of guys from United Kingdom process and put it into Canada process. So you can make a business decision when it actually matters, not tomorrow. If the entire thing happens today and okay, by end of today you realized half of our Canada calls we were not able to handle because of heavy load. But we could not do anything because we don't know this is happening. But if we know it while it is happening, let's say it is happening now and we know it live, then I can take a decision that will make that problem fixed, that could fix the problem. That's the reason why a BAM dashboard is used, and in business especially, so BAM boards are really getting popular nowadays. Every business wants BAM dashboards. They want to see the live data. They want to see the live statistics from a business perspective. Right? Now the same way, there's another graph here. This is a call center graph again. Here you will see the performance of the call center. How many operations related activities. If you see it here, inbound interactions, how many inbound interactions were there, what's the call volume, what's the backlog, average chat time, daily average chat time, if you see, daily average email response time. Let's say that you have a system problem or your email response time is increasing. Means earlier you used to respond within 10 minutes, now you're responding in 2 hours, then you have some problem. The same way, red cases, yellow cases, or some other parameters. So a business wants to know what is happening at this point, and this is what BAM provides. If you see these parameters, these 4 points are what BAM provides. It allows businesses to monitor the key performance indicators. For example, in the car rental business, the owner was able to monitor a key performance, a KPI called how many are successful, how many are broken, how many are in progress. Now, by looking at the graph, if we see that more and more number of bookings are breaking or unsuccessful, then I can see why it's happening. I can take a decision to fix it. The same way, by monitoring KPI indicators, business executives will be able to take decisions quickly. That's obvious because you know there's something going wrong, so you try to see what's going wrong and fix it. Now, and these KPI indicators are displayed on the dashboard that will allow dynamic changes. So the graph is dynamic. The graph is dynamic over there. It's not something that is pulling data from a database and displaying it to you. No, it is happening at this when you are looking at it. It's like live cricket match. And this is from an administrative perspective. What you're going to do, what's the internal structure of BAM, how it works, all that stuff. It's simple. It's not that complicated once you know this diagram. There are instances. There is a BAM adapter, a RAR file which we deploy. The adapter allows the instances to contact the BAM server. Now, when you say BAM server, you are actually talking about internal events. So what actually happens here is the instances uses the BAM adapter and it puts data into the active data cache. It puts data into the active data cache. For example, every time a booking is done, one entry is made into the active data cache. Now, that based on that entry, let's say that entry may have details of who booked it, which agent booked it, what type of car that was booked, what's the current status. Like the instance itself will tell the status. Now, these details will be dynamically updated in the graph. So the number of cars graph gets updated, the number of registrations by agent graph gets updated like that. Now, once the data reaches active data, ADC or active data cache, there is a report cache. Now, this report cache is a buffer. It's basically a cache. Means any cache is a buffer. Now it is for reporting. Means it takes the data out of ADC so that ADC gets lighter. Because ADC is the entry point into BAM server for all the instances. The ADC gets overloaded. So to reduce the load on it, we have a caching mechanism. The report cache takes the data out of ADC, puts it here. Now, once the report cache takes it out, there is another thing called report server. Now, report server is where the graph definition is created. For example, if you look at this graph, somebody has to create this definition of the graph, not the data in the graph. For example, I have to tell that on the right side there is a bar chart with this kind of graph. On the right side bottom, I should have a pie chart. On the right side bottom, I have a pie chart that does these things. The same way on the left side bottom, there is a streaming list of entries. Alerts kind of thing. Then this is a graph definition, it's called. A business analyst usually creates this dashboard definition. Now, the definition creation is done by the reporting server. Here means the business analyst can use the report server directly to generate a report definition, or there are a lot of other tools to generate the definitions. So what the definition says is how the data has to be presented, what color it's supposed to be, what type of graph, is it a pie chart, is it a bar chart, anything. Now the report server will have the definition of the graph. Now it takes the data from the report cache and what is called renders the graph. It basically populates the graph. Now once it populates the graph, then we have an interface called Bam web app. The Bam web app allows us to view the gap. The Bam web app allows us to view the graph. So here, as an administrator, what you will be doing is you will simply create a BAM, or you deploy a BAM adapter. You will be given the report definitions that you will import into report server. Report definitions are nothing but graph definitions. So you will import them into the report server. Now for the report server to generate a report like this, let's say for example this one, the data has to come into ADC. Now ADC should have the definitions, like for example if you have a value I which is an integer that gets populated by an instance, the value of I has to keep coming, but you have to first define that there is I and it's an integer. The definition has to be defined in the active data cache, which is called a data set. Now the definition is usually defined by an architect. The definition of data is one thing, which is in ADC. The definition of a report is second thing, which is in report server. See this one. This is the purpose of each of the components we are looking at. There is an event engine. It continuously monitors. Then, okay, apart from these 4 applications that we talked, there is an event engine. Anything that is happening here can be put on as an alert. BAM can be used for sending out alerts also, or it can be used to call an outside instance also. For example, let's say you are monitoring a warehouse application, a warehouse godown application. The godown dashboard tells you by afternoon, okay, our stock is going to be completed. We are not going to have any more stock by afternoon. And I am looking at the log at morning, the current time 6:30. Okay, now I know, okay, by afternoon we are not going to have any time. We are not going to have, at this rate of selling, we won't have any stock left in by afternoon. So now what I'll do is I can immediately initiate a purchase order, so that the delivery will be done by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and in my warehouse I have enough items to sell it. And that alert means the threshold reach, means if I say that my warehouse has only 30% of its capacity, I will ask BAM to trigger a purchase order. The purchase order is just an invoice to another company that I'm buying from. It automatically calls a service that is in the infrastructure of the other company. Or if I am another user, so if I am the, let's say, monitoring guy, I will initiate a composite, or I'll call a service that will alert the purchase department to make a purchase. So event engine allows to define alerts from the BAM depending on certain conditions. One condition I'll give an example is if the overall capacity of the warehouse is below 30%, send out an alert. So each of these components here has a purpose, and these are the purposes. Event engine, it continuously monitors for the complex data conditions, applies user rules, send out notifications, That's what event engine does. A report cache. A report cache, it reduces the burden on the ADC by maintaining active data set. A data set is nothing but one that you have defined. It opens view sets, it caches snapshots of the data changes before they are going into report server. So every time an instance gets created in that, let's say, car booking example, every time somebody books a car, a new data set has been pushed into the ADC, and that will be taken from ADC to the report cache. Then the report server will pick it up from a cache. That's what the report server, it retrieves the data sets from the cache. Once the data set is retrieved, it will apply to the definition because the graph has to be populated. And it also maintains, the report server also maintains the connection between the browser and the BAM server, because somebody who is viewing it should be able to view it. And finally, the BAM application itself is what we are going to use to view these dashboards. Let me get back to that BAM application. You will have a better idea. Then I'll come back to this explanation. Theory is too much. So BAM application, by the way, is only compatible with Internet Explorer 7 and 8. This is one bad thing. It's not yet compatible with any other browsers. And to access this BAM web application, this is the URL we are going to use. So we will start the BAM server, then we'll get into the URL here. Oracle middleware, user projects, domains, and code daemon. Let's start the admin and then the BAM server. You'll have to start all the servers today. You'll have to start the admin, then the source server, which requires, will deploy an instance on the source server, which will send data to the BAM server, and the BAM server itself to generate the reports. Okay, admin is up. Start the BAM server and also the source server. Ah, we did not start the database. DBMS driver exceptions. You see this thing? Oracle SDBM data source IOR network adapter could not establish.
Yeah. Not connect to DB driver. I mean, JDBC.
Let me kill the managed servers and then start the database and start servers. This is server 1. This is our BAM server. So kill both of them. I'm leaving the admin server as it is. So let's start the database. Encode ID is the password. Only login is encode ID 123. Rest of the passwords are encode ID. Failed to start. Why? Missing listener name. Okay, spelling mistake. Okay, the listener is up. Let's start the database now. Sorry, let's start the source. No, Kalyan. The clone is not uploaded yet. It's broken, kind of. It's a too big file. I could not find software yet to break it. I'm on that one. It should. It's about 40 GB file, so it's getting a little difficult for me to work on it. I'll upload it. Till that time, I think you have to work on the cloud itself. BAM server is up. Let's access the BAM web app using Internet Explorer. So I'm on Windows 8, so I don't have IE 7 or 8. If you don't have, you can use the Windows Internet Explorer 10 in compatibility settings. So open your Explorer. I think this is 10. I'm not sure if anybody will use this is 10, version 10 of Internet Explorer. I don't want it. Let's access the BAM. SCP 9001. Maharashtra, you have 17 degrees, man. 14 degrees minimum. IP is wrong. We'll make it 6. We're looking at BAM web app. The web app allows us to manage the entire BAM server components. You'll see what are the various components inside. Yeah, this is the interface of Oracle BAM. Now, compatibility settings. Here you will find tools button here. Now normally the tools is not available directly. It can be seen. Press on to see that menu. It's a messy thing. Oracle this Explorer 10. So go into tools, run it in compatibility mode. Once you are compatible, login. So admin 1 2. Let's log in. Inside of BAM web app. The web app has 4 different roles in it. Administrator is one role, active studio is one role, active viewer is one role. Out of all these things, you will be the viewer and the administrator. Let me see, let me show you what it is. An administrator who manages users and groups in BAM. Architect is the one who means the architect role lets you create data of the data. Like just now I was telling, integer I. So it's the architect role you have to. We will be able to create a data set. So if I architect role, a page loads up. Here I get, all right. I can go ahead and create an object, give a definition to it. Let's say you create an object test. Where should that object location under test? Then add fields. You can add fields here. You see. For example, if the graph that we were talking about, the cab booking owner, every time somebody books a cab, the instance will put data into one of the data sets in ADC. The one of the data sets in ADC is name. All right. Or more like, let's say, ID, type of car, or agent name. Agent name. Now the ID can be automatically generated in the BAM itself. It's something like automatic integer. Type of car, it's a string. Should have some string somewhere. Have a string. Float, decimal, yeah, you have a string. Object means here is not that object. Here we are talking about a data set. means like let's say something like an example. Not Java-based objects, but data objects that's usually called. It's something like, let's say, if this kind of an element which has three fields. One is ID field, other one is name field, all right, other one is the type of car field. So here you have ID, here you have a type of car, here you have name, agent name. Now this is a data object. We are not necessarily creating Java related stuff here, but we are creating a structure. That's what we are calling a data object, and this object holds the data that is coming from the SOA infrastructures. So here in this case, car type and agent name are coming from the instance. ID is automatically getting generated in the ADC itself. Alright, got an idea what we're talking about data objects? Not. So here now you can, it's like DB. That's right, yes, that's right. It's like database. It's more like a database. Using those details that you are getting from the instances, you can add in the data. If you see, there are certain elements like you get certain values based on the inputs. For example, in the graph seen here, the constant graph. So it says email response time, daily average email response time. This is something calculated in the BAM because instance data is coming when the email has arrived, when the response was sent. That's only the data that we are getting from the SOA infrastructure to BAM.